Hi everybody, welcome to a 20-somethings kitchen, and today we are going to be talking about hosting. So, as a young 20-something, we haven't had a lot of opportunities to host people in our place. So, as we're moving into our own places, getting our new jobs, coming out of school, I thought it'd kind of be fun to show you guys how I do it. So, balling on a budget, if you will. So, having people over, just a couple tips and tricks, what you can make, what you can buy, and then how to set up the table setting, like I said, on a budget. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we'll be doing is creating a board here. And what I have for that are different nuts, fruits, and meat. So the meat we have is a prosciutto. We have figs for the fruit, and then for the nuts, I have some pistachios here. And I left the shell on because I want people to work a little bit for the food that they're getting. You better work. You better work. You better work. Now get to work. So I have 3 figs here, and I'll go ahead and cut those open. Okay, so you have your figs all cut up, and they are one section of the board. Next, I'm going to take the prosciutto. So at the grocery store, I just asked them for 6 thin slices of prosciutto. And I'll kind of break those up to put them on the board. And what I like to do when I create these is have that mix of the fruit, the nuts, and the meat. And you can really use whatever you'd like. I like prosciutto because as a person who loves butter, I think it tastes a little buttery, so that's the meat that I prefer to eat and or serve when I have a platter like this. But the choice is totally yours. Perfect. So for the meat, I used about 4 slices, so you can save the other 2 in the fridge just in case you notice that your platter is running low. You can restock it. And then last is the bag of pistachios I have here. And the whole concept of having people over on a budget, to give you a little background, so I took $50 and I went out and I tried to gather as much as I could for that amount of money when it comes to decorations and food. So this is what $50 will get you. And I live in quite a large city, so I think we're getting really good food for that price. So they may not be as attractive as the figs or the prosciutto, but you'll have your pistachios there ready to go. And then with this, I'm also going to be serving it with honey. So when I set it on the table, I'm just going to add my container of honey I had because I don't have one of the honey sticks and everything like that. So this is me, this is who I am. I'm going to serve it with the honey container instead of putting it in a separate jar. So here is one of the dishes we will have at the hosting event. So I'll set that to the side. And then anything extra, I'll just set aside as well. It's a mushroom onion mix. So it's something that can go atop bread or it can be eaten on its own. So speaking of bread, I just took a little French loaf of bread and I toasted it off. You can buy a large one, toast it off, and just put a couple pieces out to begin with. And like I said, if you need to replenish that, go ahead and do it. It's always better to have extra than not enough. So the mushrooms, as I said, are just onions, mushrooms, and then some seasoning and a little bit of olive oil, and they're good to go. And you can serve that cold or warm. So before people get here, I would suggest maybe warming it up a little bit. It's totally your preference, whatever you like. So that's the second item that we'll be serving. And then the third one are my kale balls, which I'm going to grab out of the oven right now. So along with the kale balls and this mushroom mix, I made those 2 yesterday. So it's one of those things, the longer it sits, the better it gets, and it makes it a lot easier for you as well if you make those ahead of time instead of trying to stress and do everything all at once in one day. Give yourself a timeline. Mushrooms, onions, and kale balls day before. Everything else can be put together a half an hour beforehand. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those. We're just going to put them in the bowl here, and then as I put in each layer, I'm just going to shave over some Parmesan cheese. So here are my little kale balls. They're very similar and almost identical to spinach balls you may have had in the past. I just put the kale spin on them. And instead of wilting them down, I just gave them a light wash with hot water. So it kind of steamed them down a little bit, but it does still have that crunch that kale has. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cheese and then just start stacking the balls in here and shaving the cheese on. And the reason I do this in layers with the cheese and not all at once when everything's in there is just like when I build nachos. I like to have every single thing covered with the cheese. Because I notice with nachos at restaurants, they're a little stingy and they only put the cheese and toppings on the top, and then you have the lonely guys at the bottom. No, not in my house. Everyone's going to get a little of it in the bowl. So my tip with hosting is to start small. So start off with a couple of your close friends, try your recipes on them, have them over, kind of have the house set and the mood set for them to come over and just relax and enjoy themselves. And the thing with hosting too is that you want people to come into your house and feel like they can be themselves. You don't want them to feel like they're in a museum and they can't touch anything. So clean up your house a little bit if you need to tidy up, but don't make it too clean to a point where they feel uncomfortable. And that's the same with the food as well. You want people to feel like they can enjoy the food instead of feeling like they have to be uptight and very careful when they're eating it. And that's the great thing about finger food, is that finger food in itself kind of entails you're going to be a little messy. So I love it. So the next thing I want to discuss are these jugs of water that you'll see here. I'll just bring them up front. So we have a cucumber mint water, and we have a grapefruit mint water. And what I did was just cut up one whole cucumber and added half a pack of mint to this guy. And then I cut up one whole grapefruit and the rest of the mint into this container. I let them chill, and then make sure they're in the refrigerator about 6 hours before you have people over, because you really want that water to take in the flavor of what you've put inside of it. And the one thing to note with this too is that the cucumbers and the grapefruit, I've actually taken off the skin. The thing is, I don't want whatever was living outside the cucumber or the grapefruit to be hanging out in our water. Exclusive, just the insides of the fruit and veggies we want. So that's why we have it like that in here. But you can still see the beautiful color. So you have that green and you have that pink. And that's actually what the inspiration was for my tablescape. I wanted to go with green because I'm sick of the snow outside. I'm done with winter and cannot put up with it anymore. So I thought, hey, let's go with green. It's spring, it's summery, it's encouraging, it's enlightening. We'll do that. So thank you, Cucumber Mint Water, for inspiring me. And the last thing before we head over to the table to kind of show you how to set up is the dessert part of it. So I just grabbed a little bag of cookies here. This was $3, so it's so much cheaper than going to a bakery and getting maybe like 10 to 15 little desserts. Instead, you have just little cookies that people can grab if they want. Go ahead and put that in a bowl. And the desserts are as simple as that. So what I'm going to do is take everything over to the table and then show you how I set up. So welcome to another section of my apartment. This is our dining room table. So it's just a round black table, and we usually have 4 chairs around it. But since you're having people over, what I would suggest is just scattering those about where you would like to see people sitting and hanging out. Mine are currently in the living room, so we want everyone to kind of be in a central location where they feel like they can connect and chat that way. And then I also have 2 in my kitchen as well. So spread those about, 2 and 2. So the food is here, and then you'll also notice some decorations and things as well. So I went to the local Dollar Tree or Dollarama, whichever one you have. I picked up some green plates, as my theme was spring and green and happy. Some white napkins. I found these flowers to be very inspiring and fun, so I just picked those up. Some clear utensils that you can recycle after use. And then some plastic cups as well. So just like the utensils, these are you can recycle after you've used them. And now it's just time to prep your table for how you'd want it to look. You can grab any kind of decorations you want. You can decorate your table however you want. You'll go through a lot of iterations before you find that perfect setup. So do not fear that. You'll be going around a couple times. Even I'm here looking at it. I have a couple different ideas of how I think it will look. So I'll go through a couple times to see if that's what I want, and if not, I'll just keep trying and trying until the table setting looks the way I want it to. And the thing with decorating any of your decorations or add-ons that you may have here, just keep it simple. Since you are on a budget, it's good to remember that, and just know that when people come in, they don't expect you to have this grand table all ready for them to grab food from. They just expect it probably to be on your countertop and nothing fancy set up like this. So any effort you put into it, those who are coming over to your place are going to appreciate that. So I'm going to try a couple different setups here and see what I land on, and we'll get back to you in a second. So here we are, the final table setting. As you saw, it kind of takes a little time, and that's okay. You really want it to look how you want it to look. If you like it and you love the feel of it, that's great, and your guests are going to get that energy from you. So for the wreath, what I did is that it was a long string, And to make it into this, I just rolled it up and put it underneath the white bowl I have here. So it's kind of a fun looking piece on the table. For the plates, what I did is just separate them and added the white napkin on top and just made a little stacked layer here. So I did about 10 plates with the napkin on top, and then underneath that is where I have the extra plates. So if anyone needs to come back and get another one, they can do that. So that'll be here. And then any of the other napkins, I just made into a pretty shape, put it right next door. And then for the cutlery, what I did was just grabbed a little mason jar. Since I'm feeling the spring, the green, the mason jar just kind of reminds me of like a farm or a picnic. So I chose that to put the utensils in. We have the cups back here and then our water as well. So what I call the essentials, I like to have those at the back. So the first thing people get is the food and all the effort you put into that before they see the cutlery and everything else. Just set up the bread in the middle. And then we have the kale balls, the mushrooms, and then our little platter here. As promised, I just brought out the honey. No fancy jar for that. And that is my tablescape. And all of this was done for under $50. So if I can do it, you can do it. I encourage you to have a couple people over after you watch this, whether you're doing this food or any other food you might find on the internet or that's passed down from your family. I encourage you to do it. It's a lot of fun. And once you get the ball rolling, it's hard to stop. So have fun, and thanks for watching this episode on hosting.